So you've decided to venture in the game of IDPA. In this video, I go over my IDPA setup. In the last 2 years, IDPA has had extensive changes to their rule set. So I want to be clear when I say you've got to invest some time into looking in the rule books, and if you don't understand the answer to a question, seek out either your section or area coordinator to get clarification on the rules. Now, here's the thing. I have actually seen people make up rules or maybe stick with rules that were relevant 5 years ago. And when you're telling new people that, or people trying to understand this game, guys, you are really making it hard for people to like the sport. So please invest in some time to understand the rules, both new and experienced shooters. So let's dive right into this. Starting from the outside, a lot of people tend to overthink the cover garment. I ended up buying this fishing vest or tactical vest, whatever you want to call it, from Midway 3 years ago for $20. And I haven't thought much sense about it. It has pockets, and it has the weight, and it does exactly what I need it to. Is when you do this scarecrow test, it hides all my equipment. That's what you're looking for. Now, there are some companies out there that make vests specifically for playing the game of IDPA, but when it comes to the cover garment or from concealment, guys, don't overthink it. You do have options. You don't have to use a fishing vest. You can use a large shirt, or you can even shoot from Appendix now. And I'll have a video that goes over that later on. So other things to think about with your concealment garment is it shouldn't be obtrusive, indicating anything you may need access to. I like to think of using my thumbs to access anything, whether it's my mags, just to swipe back and a grab, okay? Or even if I need to draw, again, a thumb, bringing it, sweeping it back, and just grabbing my gun and landing right on top of that for a nice draw. Now we talked a little bit about the cover garment and kind of its purpose. Let's talk a little bit about my rig here. I've been using a Blade Tech belt. This is a single belt that you would use for everyday concealment. Now with USPSA belts, where they are double layered in nature, you cannot use that in IDPA. You can find this one right here for about $50 to $70 on today's market out there. And it does the job, as I've used this actually as my own carry belt, and I've used it for the past 3-4 years in shooting IDPA, and it's still holding up strong. It actually ratchets up too, so you can get it cinched nice and tight. And the big thing with the belt, guys, is you just want it to be sturdy, because the thing is, if it's loose and soft, your draw can get bound up inside the holster if it ends up being too soft. And the same thing with the mag, so you're gonna want a sturdy belt. Moving to my mag pouch, I like to run 2. That's my preference, as I like to do my load mag from my pocket, so I just remember that's my first mag. A lot of people out there end up actually putting a third one on the back, and that you can do that as well. Just remember to make sure that it is concealed when you're doing that. But I use compact adjustable ones, and I like to use the single ones because I like to have a little bit of mobility if I need to. Now remember, with the newer set of rules here in 2024, you can now move this forward of the hip bone, which was subjectively around this area, as long as it stays within concealment. And you can play with that, and the reason you may want to do that are for several reasons. 1, accessibility. 2, to get some space between these, because I've learned in the past, if you keep them too close and this one doesn't have quite the tension it needs, you can end up grabbing 2 mags and dropping one on the ground, or trying to figure out what to do while you're running a stage. So I learned that I kind of just like to have a little bit of space in between them with a little bit more tension on the rear, so that doesn't happen. Now the other reason is, if you are doing a reload, the more forward you have your mag pouch, the easier it is to not only grab, but also to line up your mag well. The more this is lined up, the easier the reload. Moving my way around here, I want to talk about my holster. This is a Red Hill tactical holster made specifically for this gun, and as you can tell, it has some patterning on it, just because I want a little bit of style on it for me. Now, one thing you got to remember, and I made this mistake particularly with this holster, is that I put some adjustable knobs on it. That's actually illegal against IDPA rules. You're going to want to have screws kind of like these, so it's not meant to necessarily that you can adjust it on the fly. So kind of giving you an odd example is when you're doing your make ready, you can loosen these up so this thing flies out of the holster. No, guys, you want to even keep it with the spirit of IDPA and keeping the tension correct so that this is nice and safe regardless. As you can tell with the holster, it covers a lot of the gun, but most importantly, the trigger guard, and it has the right amount of tension. If I were to either lean over, fall, or maybe someone hung me upside down, this thing would stay in. And when I'm ready to draw, it's just a nice way out. Now we're going to talk briefly about my gun. So this is a Masterpiece Arms DS9, and this is specifically an IDPA compliant version. And from the factory, you can run it in 2 divisions, either an ESP, which is Enhanced Service Pistol, or Carry Optics, which I like to run. And the difference between the two is literally adding an optic, guys. So as long as the weight stays under 45 ounces with an optic or 43 ounces without an optic, you're qualified to be with that. And this pushes the boundary right at 44 ounces with the whole setup, including when you add in the empty mag. In 2023, IDPA allowed ported barrels, and so Masterpiece Arms offered that option. I have a 6-port setup here with a bull barrel. To be honest with you guys, it is meant to be an IDPA Gamer gun, but this gun does meet all the requirements. If I place it in the box, it fits. If it makes weight, it's good. And Masterpiece Arms was intentional about that. You'll see that they have smaller safeties, that they have a thinner mag well, and I'll compare it against my USPSA setup, just giving you an idea what the size difference is between the two. But guys, this gun is a pleasure to shoot, and you have plenty of options out there. This is what I chose because 1, I love this platform. 2, I like MPA as a brand. But if you decide that, hey, I want to shoot something more closer to my carry gun, the good news is, guys, don't worry about buying the fanciest, nicest gun you can get your hands on, because I've seen guys with stock Glock 17s win major matches. And one final detail I want to talk about specifically is just the optic. I've always chose to run Trijicon SROs, largely because of the view size. Now what's different with my IDPA setup is I like to run a 2.5 MOA because I run my dots a little on the dim side, and with the rule set and how the points are scored, it's favorable to be a little bit more accurate than it is over speed. So a smaller dot for me ends up just gives me that touch of patience I like, and it works for me. And so continuing with the setup is nothing without the magazines. If you can tell, they're angled on the bottom of the base plate so that they can fit in the box. If I had a square setup, it would actually be obtrusive and would not fit in the box. Now, these things, because the rules of Carry Optic or ESP, they only allow 10 rounds, with 11 being in the first mag, so I'm not really thinking about how much capacity can these hold, but in case you're curious, these can hold 20 very comfortably. And what I love about specifically 2011 type magazines is they're just big and easy to grab. Making reloads with this thing is a very confident thing, especially when you're fighting cover garment and things like that. I'm really only touching on the general features of this gun, but I actually have now over 10,000 rounds on this gun, and it's been incredibly reliable. In fact, I even did a 5,000 round review when I had hit that mark. So if you want to see that video, I will leave a link in the description below. Now guys, that's what I have for you today. So if you like this video, hit that like button, as that really helps me a lot in the algorithms. And you're going to want to subscribe too, because I have tons of content on this matter, as well as I'll be coming out with an appendix setup for those of you who do not like that tacky vest. So with that said, guys, we will see you at the range.